Hello, everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Path Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. So, another update in Tesla. I mean, even the last 2 days were technically up days with down closes, but today we had the update with the up close. Still insanely overbought, but none of that seems to matter. It's Tesla. So, remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing, ringing the bell so you get notifications of when we go live, because we do other things other than just Tesla here. We have a nice market overview where we look at other stocks. And again, big shout out to Ken, who showed me that things called Super Chat do work. So you can always donate from the Super Chat, especially if you want your questions answered. Thumbs up on the likes, the like in the video, or probably just because I made a mistake, give me a thumbs down, and we'll go from there. But another bullish day in Tesla. Let me jump over to the options real quick. So I'm disappearing because I don't have a camera on that screen. When you have so many monitors, I can't have a camera focusing everywhere. Close to 155,000 of the 1100s going off. 31,560 open interest, which is pretty decent for Tesla going into just a Friday when you don't have a major announcement. But we're going to see if that holds up tomorrow. I'm betting it makes a run for 1100. Now, whether it closes above or below it, that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a tough one. Oh, 37,000 1150s and 14,000 still open interest. I'm going to be watching that tomorrow to see if that open interest starts dropping rapidly, especially if we run up towards that 1100, because I don't see those 1150s coming into play. 1200s, there's still 22,000 open interest on that. 1200s, 37,000. So it's there. There are some very hopeful people still out there that there's going to be another what? What kind of bar would it take? What kind of bar would it take to hit that? What was our high to low range from 3 days ago? What was the low? Well, let's even go from. We got to technically go from the close because to account for the gap. So we actually we'd have to use the concept of ATR, not just true range, but average true range for one day. So the close was 909.68. Let's just call it 910 for the sake of math. And the high on this bar was 1045. So 910 to 1045. So that's what? That's 135. So I guess if you had another repeat of the gap in the run up to the high, technically, where are we sitting now? We're sitting closing at 1077. So 1077 plus 135, that would be 1202. So if this scenario technically was repeated again, you could get to that 1200. Do I see it happening? No. But as again, this stock has made me see things that since 1992 uh, were I didn't think I'd see. So let's see what. Well, I'm not that Dave says. The train's put his brakes on. The whistle screaming. Welcome to Terrapin Station. Yep. Okay. Are you referring to Tesla? Well, besides it being the dead, but are you referring to Tesla with the brakes? Putting its brakes on and screaming, or are you predicting that that's going to happen? I don't know. Follow up with that comment. Let's see how our intraday stuff worked today. Let's just start with that 1 hour with the line of sand. I've been giving out my bullish bearish. I put on the wonderful triangle pattern yesterday, and I mentioned we probably gap above it. So my bullish area was this 1049. So immediately with this gap open, was in full-blown bullish mode. What do I do with gaps? Longer term people, we don't hold back here. We don't hold back. Somebody should know what I do with gaps. If you do know, put it in the chat. For anybody new here, Let's see, we go from the close the day before to the high area that was formed. Well, that would be here. Let me change the color real quick so so we can just see it jump out for the sake of this exercise. Make it purple. All right, I watch for the pullback for it to hold between the 50 and the 62 and a half. And if it closes below the 62 and a half, gaps get filled, but not all the time. So how do we know if it's going to continue or get filled? That Dave said gaps get filled. And oh, by the way, I saw your comment. It's roughly close to 90% overall that get filled eventually. But again, it can take years. Dave was wondering, I think you left a comment, right, Dave? That like there are some gaps he pointed out in Tesla from a few years ago. Yeah, I did read that. I just was just trying to remember if it was you, because there are gaps, and I'll give you an example. Not saying relating this to Tesla at all, but companies like Enron and WorldCom left behind gaps, and guess how they were eventually filled? The number of companies that have filled them by going eventually gaps that people didn't think would get filled. Company went reorg or bankrupt or something, and they got filled. So, can and if you look over the series of history, gaps do essentially get, Dave was talking about July of 20, and could those gaps theoretically get filled in Tesla? Yes. People might not want to hear that, but yes, it could theoretically get filled at some point in Tesla. So, but what we do on a short-term basis, we use gaps as key areas to watch for if they get filled, especially on a short-term basis. The way I judge it throughout the day is if we get a close below that 62 and a half, again, from the prior day's close to that high that was formed, uh, I watch for the close. Now I watch for a reversal zone. The major reversal zone is between 50 and 62 and a half. And you see here, 5-minute chart, rising rotation zone. We're still in bullish mode because we're above the my bullish line. And we hold, even on a closing basis, just above the 50%, moving sideways, working off this overbought condition, and then moving back up. So that is another pro tip. What oil did we identify though? Right off the bat from yesterday, 1079.39. Now tell me how well that level worked. See, we opened up, ran up just above it to 1080.60. Coming back up, look at this. Little double top, little small double top, which would not be used from my perspective, for shorting, but would be used for either taking some profits off the table or using it for a pullback. It's within the move that started it, coming with a full target 1066.59. So there you go. And then running back up, but you look at how well that that double target held. So that was another key area. That's a way to use double targets. Again, would not short into this, but identifying a level to watch for a potential stabilizing price and maybe use it to get long. Again, there's many ways to utilize this information depending on your time frame. What's my area tomorrow? Hold on one second. Let's see what my bullish area is tomorrow. I'm right at 1073 is bullish tomorrow. Above 1073, I am in bullish mode. Below that, I'm not in selling mode. I'm in neutral mode. Unless we get a move below this low of 1054.53, then I will start watching for a gap fill. The gap fill would be down to the closing price before of 1038.19. So that's my little downside target for tomorrow. I guess I can remove the silly triangle, although this is a proper path trend line, at least on the 1 hour time frame. I'm just seeing if it's going to matter. I'm going to take that off. It's not going to give a lot of additional information. What are we watching for then to the upside? We have to raise our harmonics still from the same anchor point. So I'm just seeing if there's anything else that I'm watching. So above is 1080.60. I'm really looking at 1090.44. We get above there and look at the harmonic. Oh, well, then you have 1094.88. So you have that prior level, but that 1128. So based off the options, based off of that being you still what do we have there at the 1100 100 you had 155,000 of those go off today, and you still have 31,000 open interest. That's going to be the magnet price tomorrow, as long as we don't see tons of weakness coming in. So again, above 1073 in bullish mode, targets 1090.44, minor 1095, and then major 1128. If we go insane and keep on going, next cluster 106 to 107. Then we have 116 to 118, 125, 1150. 1125, 1154, 1171, and then I'm going to 1200 just based off that insane sort of joke of a calculation I did. But you still have, I got to put it out there. I got to put it out there. Not that the probabilities of that hitting are slim. But I'm not going to say this thing's been oversold all week. You're still getting the option juice going every day. And there's been selling pressure. There's been the forms filed. A lot of the board people have been selling, especially board of directors. There was a huge dark pool print. I don't know whether it was a board of director sale or possibly an Elon sale, but all that's getting absorbed. Now, if the options disappear, if we see it dry up, we're seeing this north of 200,000 easily go off every day. If you start seeing that disappear and we have like a day of just 40 or 50K, that's when I don't think it will sustain it. Then if I don't see options going off and we start violating, especially start filling that gap, and then technically we have another gap down, then I'm going to start focusing on the bigger pullback. Right now, the daily rotation zone's at 978. I think a pain point, John S. Max Pain 940. Oops, hold on. Max Pain 940. I think if you start getting this, I even go above there. The low 944.20. My area is about this open 950, so 944 to 920 is my line of sand still. You will, what's funny is even if you just return to the daily rotation zone from this insane overbought condition, a lot of Tesla people will freak out just at that. But that's not my line of sand. My line of sand is if you start filling this gap, I think you'll easily see the gap fill and then the bottom of the daily rotation zone. And remember the weeklies all the way back at this point 865. Now it's going to raise up again tomorrow. But just to even return at the weekly, let's say it hit 865, and I'm not saying this is for tomorrow. I'm talking for a bigger perspective. That's going to cause a freak out, and it will trap a lot of people, at least in a short-term basis, because I see way too. Anything can happen in Tesla, but this bullish sentiment, like it's going to keep going to 10,000 without even a pullback, is absurd. It is absurd. Even from a technical point of view, you're going to get key and shocking pullbacks. You're still going to get rotations. Not even Tesla can go vertical all the time. You want to talk about a vertical move? Look at where our prior support trend line was. The prior support trend line, if it came back in contact with that, even at the end of November, if it came back in contact, would be just this 870 area. So. That's where my max pain point is, though, for this gap. Other than that, my minor pain point going into tomorrow is if we start filling I will consider this up the at least a short term top in if we start filling the gap tomorrow, and especially start trading down around the 4 hour rotation zone, at least a short term top. Now, what will be interesting is if it can spike up to 1100. I'm going to be interested to see if it can spike up to 1100 where it closes. I would imagine there'll be some decent selling pressure coming in if it does spike. So 1100 is definitely an area to aggressively, from my perspective, and again, I can't give trading or investing advice, but aggressively move up stops. Just because it's another psychological number and it's going into a Friday, and if it gets juiced in the morning, that's going to be my major first target. Any other questions? Any other questions right now? So, I'm not seeing anything. Not seeing anything else. Yeah, 10, not that, Dave. 1086 post market, 1086.68. I mean, we've had some decent swings though post market. So again, my line's 1073.07 is, as long as it remains in there, I'm in full bullish mode. Let's see, what nutty bar? Did we have a nutty bar? Do I have to look at the extended hours? Oh well, we have more gaps to fill, Dave. Dave, start watching for the gap fills pre-market tomorrow. So Dave's gonna be watching for. We have a gap fill here. We have a gap fill here. Look at these gaps. You get to fill pre-market. You could fill a bunch of these gaps and still be above my bullish price target. So there you go. Do all the gaps get filled? Uh, I'm not seeing any other questions, so I'm going to wrap it up for now. And we'll do tomorrow. We'll do the end of week wrap up. Come up with our levels for next week. So I'm probably going to schedule it earlier for tomorrow, probably closer to right after the close. If you can't attend it live, please watch the recording, because we will come up with our game plan for next week. And I'll probably do a market wrap up live stream sometime over the weekend and if people want to join that one, I will do some extra stock analysis if you want to call it out. Real quick question, Sterling, when do you change the anchor points for the harmonics? It depends on the time frame, but my two major anchor points is I use one with the longer term trend and a longer term swing and the most recent swing. Okay, that's what, if you want it in a nutshell, those are the two to focus on: longer term swing and the most recent swing. And I use that by coming back to return to like the rotation zone. Okay, and for Tesla, the major longer term swing. Now I put some extra ones on Tesla since Tesla moves so fast. But a major long term swing is the low for March 5th. Okay, that's one of the major key levels, which will get updated for next week because we have new swing highs. So I could technically do it now, but that's going to change a couple levels. And then the most recent swings, you're going to use the shorter term areas like this area from this key anchor point from October 26th at 8:30. You can see it better. I mentioned yesterday it was the bottom of this silly triangle formation. That's one of the most recent swings. So that should answer your question. Do I think it will hit 1100 in the morning? If options go off, yes. I think they'll be gunning for it. They'll be gunning for it. Now, whether it can sustain that, I don't know. But as long as we're above 1073, besides using the minor levels I listed, the 1090 area, the 1095, 1094.88, then 1128, those are my key levels to the upside. When do I change the anchor points? When I already sort of answered that. The question came up again. I hope I answered it that time. When we make new, like in Tesla, all right, I'm going to have to change some of the longer term anchor points based off this price action this week. But again until like the shorter term anchor point until we make a new return to the rotation zone. I mean, if you want really small levels, which would be useless, you could use this kind of level. But you want, I mean, you sort of have to use common sense. Like with a stock like Tesla, we use you have to use slightly bigger swings. So the last major return to the rotation zone was right here. So that's got to be one of your key things. That's got to be one of your key levels. And then you can always use, if you want another level, like, see there, it's just been on such a tear. If you want, like, again, my major levels back to that low because there hasn't been a lot of great anchor points based off the daily. My last daily anchor point, if you wanted another level, I'd use this low. 21st of October. See how it moves sideways into the daily rotation zone? And this is technically a swing point because it's launching off. I would use that as a key. I think I already have that one. Yep, I do have that one. That's one of my levels right there. So at least I didn't contradict myself with my own levels. I was just looking at that and going, that's the level to use. All right. With that, I'm going to wrap it up for this evening. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and I will talk to everyone later. Bye for now.